We're live from the HousingWire news desk at MBA Annual. I'm thrilled to welcome Brent Chandler of FormFree to this edition of HousingWire Instant Impact. Brent, could you briefly introduce yourself and FormFree?
Sure, absolutely. Delighted to be here, first of all, Diego. Brent Chandler, founder and CEO of FormFree. You know, the journey started almost 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really a journey about assessing a person's true financial identity and ensuring that it's received by the lending community to expand access to credit. Everybody borrows money at some point in their life and everybody has an ability to pay. And our charter is to create that impact that allows people to have their own understanding of their ability to pay. And when they're ready, to be able to get that access to credit for home ownership or any other type of loan. That's what we do.
I love that. In early 2023, you sold your account check asset to Stewart.
Yeah.
What was your thinking and rationale behind that sale, and what did it empower you to do with the FormFree business?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first. And I think whenever you create a vision, you have to look really deep into where it's ending and then draw it back, focus in on what am I doing today to really effectuate that end result. And so I've really applied that concept through the entire building of FormFree and really my life. The life event that happen are not always understood or planned, and to embrace life at a current time and place allows us to make changes. Change is constant in the universe. And when I started the journey with FormFree, it was really out of a concept of a better system, a better way to do things, a better way to get a loan. Understood where data resided, how to gain access to it and make it actionable, and empower a person, me. It was really about me. I needed a loan, and these people on the other side of the table, the lenders, couldn't see me. And I was perplexed. And I said, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this. I could digitize this data, mathematically, empirically quantify a person's ability to pay, and then encapsulate that in a token, a medallion that represented my true financial identity. And the idea that the lending industry had not seen digital data in 2007 was my aha moment. Well, it started with a big concept, and as you would have it, the industry was just simply not ready for that in 2007. We were coming through a crisis. I mean, first and foremost, it was survival, right?
Interesting time to start a business. For
yeah,
sure.
No, it was not intentional, but I think it was divine in its merit, which was I was naive to the system. So I didn't have a preconceived idea of how it was supposed to work. I just said there's a better way to do it. And so I embarked on that journey and learned along the way through these stepping stones, these changes. And changes really created what became the first digital asset verification that was rep and warranted by the government, which meant the data was sanctimonious, it was secure, it was trusted. And that allowed us to really grow the business. So we found traction with revenue. We'll say, hey, while this big concept might not fly right now, this smaller approach to asset verification and digitizing this component of my financial identity could. And that's ultimately grew into 3,500 lenders. We were doing tens of thousands of loans a day with various partners, and it grew to a place that it sort of found its plateau. But the mission and the journey was not finished. And that's what I kept holding on to. I said, I can see that place, that proverbial mountaintop, if you will, where we hadn't reached it. And so there was an opportune time to really divest ourselves of this one particular narrow focus product, which is still very active in the market.
Sure.
We found a fabulous partner with Informative Research in Stewart and let it go. We let the baby go. So why was that important? It allowed us to focus on what we believed was the end state of the mission, which is really about fixing a broken system, providing more access to people through this narrow band of credit, to expand that credit box without the risk, and to offer the end state of what we wanted to do, the mission of serving all people with their ability to pay.
So in anticipation of our conversation, you posted on LinkedIn that you were really excited to talk about two FormFree products, Passport and FFX.
Right.
What are those products?
Yeah, these are the tools. So thank you, by the way, for acknowledging that. And, LinkedIn has been really a tool that I personally utilized over 20 years ago to build the company. It's given us a voice, and it's amazing how far it reaches. So I appreciate that acknowledgement.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I mean, the end state of again, the vision of serving all people, everyone, was not found in account check. We divested. Passport and FFX are ultimately the end state. Passport creates the financial identity. It allows a consumer to permission their access to their information free, and we can assess that information using our intelligence on the data that provides them with true borrowing power, ability to pay, residual income, and an opportunity to meet a lender. Well, how do they meet a lender? Well, in today's market, meeting a lender is a quagmire of just inundation. Like, have you ever attempted to find a lender?
Yes.
Just,
Bombarded.
Yeah. The robocalls, the endless pursuit from lenders that know nothing about you.
Right.
And yet, somehow, they were triggered to say, hey, Brent's interested in a loan.
Right.
I'm still getting calls 5 weeks later after half filling out a long form.
Right.
So as consumers, we need to understand our ability to pay. We need to understand how much we could actually borrow. We need to feel that we are not going to be rejected every time we speak to a lender. So we need to understand the viability of the data that we have. And then we need a secure way that is truly one-to-one with somebody who's genuinely interested and capable of working with me.
Right.
And that's where Passport creates that medallion, if you will, that financial identity that allows me to immediately meet with a lender one-to-one. And that's the FormFree Exchange. FormFree Exchange is a medium that allows lenders to come in, create buy boxes that meet the same attributes of these borrowers. And
so like a marketplace.
It's almost a marketplace, it's a matching engine, and it's very efficient, it's instantaneous. Borrower comes in, instantaneously matches with a lender who's looking to serve borrowers with those attributes. It's kind of like a Bumble for lending.
Yeah, no, I really like that. So that's Passport and FFX. Your hat says Ricky.
Ricky.
So Ricky?
Yeah.
What is Ricky?
Yeah, Ricky is the acronym that stands for Residual Income Knowledge Index. And the concept of Ricky was founded out of Dodd-Frank.
Oh, okay.
And Dodd-Frank introduced residual income as an alternative to DTI and gross. And we recognized that the data that we were harvesting on a real-time basis for a consumer could actually quantify residual income. On a net basis, we could see how much you could afford. What's your residual income? So we embarked on, in 2011, creating the Ricky the Ricky analysis. And it's actually an index, and worked with some partners like Guild, David Batney, to apply Ricky against traditional loans and compare and correspond with FICO in terms of delinquency. And I'm happy to share that in every instance, equal or superior in predicting delinquency and understanding risk.
That's really interesting.
That's over a 10-year span of corpus of data.
Huh.
Aged loans.
So you are a very mission and values centric CEO. And it seems like you have a mission to expand the credit box for folks and to make the credit invisible more visible. How are you incorporating that into those three products that we just talked about and into the overall product roadmap at FormFree?
Yeah, thank you. I think that the fact that, again, you identified the LinkedIn, you identified who I am to a degree. I'm mission driven. Mm-hmm. I like to talk about my service in the Marine Corps. I served 6 years in the United States Marine Corps in a high intelligence division of air support, air defense logistics. I served willingly. I placed my life on the line. We understood that in times of war, in times of battle, some of us might not come home. And that was a real understanding. I was 19 years old. I believed in a concept of freedom. And I wanted to serve. I wanted to give back to this country that I believed in so much. It was brought to me through my grandfather, who was a rear admiral in the Navy. And I just respected that. And so I embarked on that fully knowing I might not come home. I might not survive. And in that journey, in those 6 years in the Marine Corps, we recognized something unique that not everybody recognizes in the rest of the world. And that is, we all bleed red. There was no distinction between male and female, race, Latino, Black community. We were all brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. We were all serving one main goal that was bigger than us, freedom, and we all wanted to come home, preservation of life, right. Which meant we're going to take care of each other. And that's what drove me. And we were the greatest force together when we bound together as one. It was a we thing, not a me thing. Mm-hmm. It was never about one individual. We never left a Marine behind. So that concept stayed with me. And when I realized that not everybody in this country is living in that state of freedom, I kind of said, I want my 6 years back. That bullet I was willing to take was not for a country that I understood to be. And so when I started to recognize that access to credit and home ownership, that a wealth gap was expanding right. for a certain demographic, the Black community of this country, I made that my personal mission to serve everyone. And a certain group in this country is discriminated, and we've got to address that head on. The wealth gap since 1968 is expanding, not contracting. So I peered into that and I said, what is causing this? Why is this happening? And it's truly, home ownership is at the core. It's the nucleus of the family. It's a huge representation of wealth generation in this country. It's the single largest vehicle to generate wealth in this country. And yet a certain demographic is not capable of accessing that. Mm-hmm. And so I made that part of my missions to say, these are my brothers and sisters. These people matter. Discrimination costs money for this country and opportunity. But more importantly, it eliminates that opportunity for generational wealth. So that to me became my mantra. And we serve everyone with a streamlined, more efficient lending process through the Passport and FormFree exchange. Lenders win, borrowers win, we serve everyone, and most importantly, we serve the unserved. We're addressing access to credit where traditional 3-digit scores have prevented it.
So really, really beautiful answer, Brent. I love it. How do you see mortgage evolving over the next 5 years? And what do you think FormFree's role is in that future of mortgage?
Yeah, thank you. The next few years, and I don't really think it's going to take 5 years, the master plan is to utilize technology. We see FormFree at the epicenter of the next generation of enhancing the system, the broken system. And when we create technology for everyone, then we can truly provide access to credit and let people get paid in full.
Brent, I love this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.